All right, I am excited. Today we are doing another overrated, underrated. So this is a segment on my channel where I just go through my reverb feed, and if I've got personal experience using that particular item, I'm just gonna let you know if I think it's overrated or underrated and the reasons why. Last time I did this, a lot of people requested I do another one because it turned them on to some gear that just flew under the radar for them, which is always fun. And then a lot of other people just got really mad because they have opinions that are the exact opposite. So let's do it again. It's going to be fun. All right, hello, welcome into my reverb feed. As you can see today, it is very heavy in 500 series gear. I'll try not to make the whole thing 500 series if possible. Oh, and a bass, and probably a fake Neumann TLM 103. Yeah, let's just go ahead and start clicking through stuff, see what we find out. Oh, this is going to be a good start. Okay. Yeah. Mogami gold XLR cables. I'm not even going to call this like overrated. I'm going to call this a like downright this close to a scam. Gold XLR cables make no difference in the quality of the audio. So let me say that again. It makes no difference to the quality of your audio. It's one of those things where I've seen a lot of people who are building up their first home studio. They want to invest in good stuff that'll last, and they kind of fall for the Mogami like gold cable thing. But like, you don't need gold cables. An XLR cable is an XLR cable is an XLR cable. The only thing you really ever need to worry about is durability. So like, it doesn't need to be gold plated or silver plated or made out of unobtainium. Like, it's just an XLR cable. How are people charging this much for XLR cables is beyond me. $270 for a set of 4? That's so wild to me. I am speaking to you using a mono price XLR cables. Like, it's fine to use cheaper cables. Just make sure they're somewhat durable. You're good. Okay, look, quick powwow. So don't be fooled by like the video quality and the color grading and the microphones and all that other fun stuff. I'm getting better at YouTube every single time I upload a video, but I am still not good enough to remember to ask you to subscribe when I'm actually filming the video. So this is me doing that. So please, consider subscribing to this channel if you want more content like this. I've been working professionally in audio for over 20 years. So if you want more of this content, just consider subscribing. All right, let's go back to the video. Okay, this one's fun. Oh God, I do love these. Okay, the Great River ME1NV preamp. So Great River created these as kind of like their take on like a 1073 flavor of preamp. It's similar in some ways. It does have that color and character and kind of like grit to it that the 1073 does. But the Great River version, it's got like more thickness to it, and it's got a big like bottom end on it. So it's great on bass. And I do love the 1073 color on bass, but yeah, the Great River ME1NV for a lot of bass related stuff. And it's also got a phenomenal DI in there, which just helps with that too. It's a nice plus. These are pretty small. I think they're about a half rack space. Like, they don't take up a whole lot of space, but they do sound great. I really like them. I've also used it on live strings. In one of the studios that I interned at, we did like orchestra instruments every now and then. Like, I don't want to say all the time, but every now and then. And we recorded a cello with the Great River that was like chef's kiss. Like, it was so good. So really good preamps. They do add a little bit of color, but man, they do sound good. In the description, looking to make a vocal more powerful, make a kick drum really move some air, make a snare drum jump out of the monitors. I mean, that's overselling it a little bit, but yeah, I will say it does give you a lot of that. It brings out a lot of the best qualities of your microphone. So I really like them. On a vocal too. Yeah, it sounds great. So, all right, moving on. Okay, my channel, just so you know, it's not like super guitar centric, but I've got a lot of experience with it, so might as well. Okay, Mesa Boogie triple rectifier solo head. Overrated. Like, I don't really even think anybody's using these anymore. One of the guitar players in a band that I used to be in back in the 2000s, he used to call these the triple rectal fryers, which always made me laugh. But I'm apparently 13, which is why. These things are just, it's too much. It's just too much. That's the only thing I can really say. And like the fact that they look like, you know, like a drain cover and like all that kind of stuff. They're going for something. They were really popular in like the new metal days, you know? But like, I'll be totally honest. I like high gain sounds and I'm not a big fan of the triple rectifier high gain sound. I do like some Mesa amps. I like their Express, which a long time ago on my channel, I talked about those. And then their single rectifier. I do like some of their single rectifiers. And then I had their Maverick, their 410 Maverick, which was also pretty great. But like the high gain stuff that Mesa makes, like I'm just not as much into it. So I'm going to call it overrated. Also, I don't even know anybody that still uses these. So probably no one rates these anymore, but even still overrated. Also, God, if you ever had to retube one of those things, look at how many tubes come in this amp. That would be so expensive to replace the tubes. My goodness. Okay, moving on. So, haven't used that. Okay, here's a good one. FMR Audio, really nice compressor. I created a video on my page talking about like how to hook up like outboard gear, and I used my little 500 series of my really nice compressor in that video. So if you want to hear what that sounds like, I use it on a vocal so you can hear it for yourself. For this, I'm just going to get right out ahead of it. I'm leaning on the overrated side. I sold mine. But I'm going to call it properly rated. And the reason why is because they're cheap. This is brand new for $249. Like that really makes up for some of it. So, here is my beef with the FMR. They sound good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's transparent. But for me, if I'm going to spend the money on outboard gear, transparency is not the first thing that I'm looking for. Like typically I want to get the color because in my opinion, the stuff that's in the box, like plugins, they can do the transparent stuff pretty well. It's the stuff with a lot of color where it's like they're getting better every day, but they're still not quite to that one for one, you know, like can't tell the difference between the two. To me, I can still tell the difference. And it's like, you know, if I have a couple hardware 1176s on my desk. And the reason why is because when I really crank into those things, I like how the hardware reacts much more than the plugin. And to me, that's the biggest thing that like it shows the difference. But for these, they're very transparent. And for me, if I'm going to spend the money on an outboard piece of equipment, especially a compressor, transparency is not really what I'm going for. But that was the thing that made them special back in the day. So back in like the 2000s, 90s maybe, I'm not sure when they first came out, but a lot of recorded music was still going through a lot of analog gear. So it was going through your console and whatever else it was, maybe even to a tape machine. And so every stage of the way, it was adding some sort of color, some sort of character to the sound. And so for a lot of people that wanted to get a more transparent sound, that was a big challenge, back in the day. I kind of feel so old when I say that. But nowadays, makes me feel so old to say nowadays too, but nowadays, most interfaces, with very few exceptions, have really clean preamps and really clean conversion. So transparency is usually really easy to get. So right now, I wouldn't spend the money on it myself, so I'm going to call it overrated. But generally speaking, they do sound nice. They are clean. They are transparent. I do like the way that the compressor grabs the audio. Something about the attack and release is very pleasing. So if you are doing like a bunch of like audiobooks or a podcast or something like that, and you're just looking for nothing more than dynamic control, these might be a great option for you. One thing I will say for spoken word, the low end can sometimes bloom on these a little bit, so it just kind of gets a little big in spots, so just be aware of that. But generally, they sound nice and they're overrated. So, wow, what a complex rating for those. Okay, moving on. All right, let's do some 500 series because that's what most of my feed is these days. Anyways, I did have one of these two, Shadow Hills Mono Gama. I sold it, but the reason why I sold it isn't because I didn't like how it sounded. The reason why I sold it was because I needed to pay some bills, and I paid very little for one of these when I originally bought it. I used it, I liked it, and then I didn't want to give up my API style preamps, and so I sold that one. The Shadow Hill stuff always looks really nice. Like, I think with these, they give you different like transformers, I think is what it is. I need to look into it to be absolutely sure, but it's like a nickel or a steel transformer. And so you can get more of like an API sound or more of a 1073 sound. And they try and give you some versatility like stacked into a preamp. It wasn't like switching through those, it doesn't give you like night and day huge differences like you would get if you were like listening through a 1073 and then listening through an API. Very different style preamps, but like they're trying to give you a lot for your money, which I always appreciate. It never sounded bad, but it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my go-to. And it's also expensive. And so for that reason, oh God, do I really want to call it overrated? I don't know if I'm ready to call it overrated. Like the people that love the Shadow Hills stuff, they love the Shadow Hills stuff as if it's like their children. And Shadow Hills makes some great stuff. Like the mastering compressor they have is like one of the best. Like a number of other things they make is super good. But like this 500 series preamp, this one I'm going to go a little bit overrated. It never sounded bad, but it's really expensive. Really expensive. Like I bought mine for around 500. If you can pick one up for that, it'll probably be a good deal. But for $933, I just feel like you can get more for your money elsewhere. But they sound good. So, overrated. Okay, moving on. Okay, these are fun. Okay, the Rode NT2 condenser microphone. These are old school. This was the microphone that got Rode sued by Neumann. And no, it wasn't because they sounded just like a Neumann. The reason why is because of the head basket shape. Neumann was like, you can't do that. That's a U87. That's ours. You can't do that. Rode specifically made this microphone to look a lot like a U87. And I've heard you can modify these and they will sound good. Unmodified, these things are insane. Like they are bright, they are sizzly, they are awful. Nothing but sibilance. So for an unmodified microphone, overrated. I wouldn't touch it. It's not pleasant to my ears. If you plan on modifying it, maybe it could be good. But for me, overrated. Overrated. All right. Moving on. Let's see if we can do another microphone. Those are always fun. Okay, this one's fun. Okay, these you don't see as often as you used to. So Soundelux or Soundelux, I've heard a few different pronunciations. The 251. A 251 is one of my favorite sounding microphones, especially for like modern, like bright vocals. Like they just sound really good. And the Soundelux 251 is a pretty fantastic option. And I mean, I will say that is an attractive looking microphone as well. So it's a tube mic, so it does have the external power supply and all that. But like, I mean, I gotta say, like, these are underrated. More people need to know about the Soundelux mics. They are, it says killer mic, and it is a killer mic. Yeah. you can't really go wrong with anything that Soundelux has made. I have not ever used a mic of theirs and disliked it. They are starting to get pricey, but if you look long enough, you can usually find them. I found one of the Soundelux mics, I forget which one, but it was like right around $1,000. If you can find one for around $1,000 of almost anything they make, it's probably gonna be a good deal. But a lot of people are starting to like look for these again, and so the market on these is going a little crazy. But they are fantastic. All right, moving on. Let's see what else we got. Okay, here's a good one. Let's do this guy. So the Revive Audio Modified Art Pro VLA 2-channel. Okay, I'm going to speak to both the modified version, because I've had one of the Revive Audio Modified Pro VLAs, as well as one of just the stock ones. So bone stock, they're okay. If you get a chance, swap out the tubes that they come in, because they come with these, you know, cheap Chinese tubes, which is pretty standard for a lot of stuff in this price range. Swap it out for a decent tube and you will hear a big difference in that unit. Overall, they sound, for vocals, coin toss, like 50-50. It may work great, it might not work. Acoustic guitars generally works pretty well. Piano, it works pretty well. Drum bus, I love how the VLA sounds on drum bus. I was a big fan of that. And then if you get the modified version, it just kind of like, it takes the frequency response that thing naturally has, and it just kind of stretches it out a little bit more and makes it, the best way that I can describe it is a little bit more musical. Like the way that it responds to the dynamics, it's less, I don't know, cut and dry, and it works with the song a little more. God, it's so hard to describe, like, but it really does enhance just the overall musicality of it. I wish that I had more scientific terms, but it's one of those things that it's tough to describe what compression is or does already. So I will say this, it is very musical. It sounds really good. Overall, if you can get it modified, is it worth the extra few $100? I mean, this one's $600, and for a stereo compressor, a stereo tube compressor that performs at that level, probably hard to find. So I'm going to call both of them underrated. Great little units. Great little units. Okay, let's see what else we can find. All right, here we go. Here's a good one. This is going to be the last one. So the Focusrite ISA One mic pre. If you followed me on TikTok, which by the way, follow me on TikTok for sure. But if you followed me on TikTok for a while, I've talked about this 4 or 5 times on that account, but underrated, underrated. Hear me loud and clear. These are underrated. So before Focusrite was synonymous with like your brother-in-law's failed music career through like the Scarletts and the 2i2s and all that stuff, Focusrite was known for creating top shelf analog gear. Fantastic. These are not the most colorful or character-rich preamps that are out there, but they do sound good and do offer a little bit of color and a little bit of character. So they are transformer balanced, and here's the kicker. Originally designed by Rupert Neve in partnership with George Martin, which is the guy that produced the Beatles. So the creator of the Neve 1073, the most coveted preamp of all time, designed this with the guy that engineered the Beatles. How could that ever go wrong? These are incredible. And for the price, which is, you know, $400 is what I see here, you can usually find one. I picked one up back in the day for around $300. Like if you look long enough, they sell for pretty cheap. But these are awesome. These are awesome. And the other reason why I like the ISA One in particular is really nice. They give you a lot of bang for your buck because the DI is fantastic. And they even give you like DI routing options. So you can actually take an output of like the DI. So you can use it like a DI box, which is actually pretty awesome. And then they also give you like a headphone output. You can use this thing as a headphone amp. That's pretty great too, because especially if you're, using like maybe an interface that doesn't have a very good headphone amp and you're like, God, I can't, whenever I check my mix with headphones, it just doesn't really sound right. You'd be surprised with how much a headphone amp can make a difference in those instances. To date, speaking back about just the preamp side of it, I have never used this preamp on anything and disliked it. I've never used it on anything and disliked it. I even heard somebody say once, oh, well, that's the same preamp that they put in the clarets. It is not. It is not. They have transformers in these things, big old hunky transformers. You can't get multiple channels of transformer balanced preamp inside of an interface, especially if it's a multi-channel interface. Like that stuff just takes up real estate. So these preamps are fantastic, especially for the price. $400. I think that's a deal. Ultimately, if a new company came out these days and created a preamp that was as good as the Focusrite ISA One and it was transformer balanced with Lundahl transformers, they would charge $900 or $1,000 per channel. So the fact that you can get this for $400 is great. The only downside, and it's a real downside, and it shouldn't be real, but it is if you show up to a session and you've got a little box that says Focusrite on it, they are immediately, whoever sees that is going to associate that with budget gear. And so that may be a conversation that you have to have, but just be prepared to say, oh, did you know this was actually designed by Rupert Neve in partnership with the guy that produced the Beatles? These are actually transformer balanced preamps. These are not the same as those interfaces. Nothing wrong with those interfaces. But just saying, it's a conversation I've had to have once or twice because consumer gear is everywhere these days. And so people are aware that, Focusrite exists and they know what that name means to them. So, all right. That's going to do it for today's Overrated, Underrated. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this series. I'm going to do these every couple of weeks and hopefully just build up like a little bit of a series and like a playlist for everybody to watch. So if you enjoyed this, if you want me to do more of these, please comment down below and let me know. Of course, I've got affiliate links in the description. And if you have not yet subscribed, what are you doing with your life? Please subscribe. My channel is a newer channel, and every single subscriber helps more than you might know. So thank you so much for watching. Please, press buttons, and I will see you guys in the next one.